Math Buhay and welcome to DepEd TV. This is Mathtivated for Grade 11 General Mathematics. I am Teacher Carol and there's nothing too big or too small because we will learn it all. So keep Mathtivated and stay with me because we are together in this wonderful journey. Are you excited? I am just as excited as you are. So let's begin. By the end of this episode, you will be able to represent real-life situations using functions, including piecewise functions, evaluate functions, perform addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and composition of functions, and solve problems involving functions. So basically, our discussion will be filled with functions. But what has to be the initial condition for us to have a function? If your answer is having a relation, then you are right. The first set of values is called a domain, which is also known as the input. And the second set of values is known as the range, or the output. Now, let us have a function. A while ago, we said that it involves relation. So when is it a function? A function is a relation such that every element in the domain is paired to exactly one element in the range. And for our last term, we have piecewise function. We know that a relation and a function can be represented through sets, table of values, diagrams, and graphs. Thus, in mathematics, function can be represented in different ways. These are the representation of functions and relations. The representation using sets, the representation using table of values, the representation using diagram, last, the representation of functions or relations using graphs. It is also good to note that real-life situations can also be represented as functions. Earlier we said, for a relation to become a function, the value of domain corresponds to exactly one value of range. Let us try this situation. Through the realization in the COVID-19 pandemic experiences, Kevin and Lena, both senior high school students, started saving for a charity cause. Kevin sells paintings he made while Lena sells face masks. Kevin has an initial savings of 30 pesos and saves 15 pesos every day, while Lena, who initially saved 40 pesos, saves 10 pesos every day. Let us represent the amount of money each has saved after X number of days using a function. Let us start with Kevin's savings. For the amount of money he saves, since he has an initial savings of 30 pesos, then we will just have to add the amount of money he consistently saves every day to that. So we will have k of x equals 30 plus the amount of money he consistently saves in x number of days, which is 15 times x. Thus, using a function, Kevin's savings can be represented by k of x equals 30 plus 15x. Let us now have the function that will represent Lena's savings. She initially saves 40 pesos. So that will be added by the savings she makes in X number of days. And that is 10, the amount she saves a day, times X, the number of days she saves. Now, Lena's savings in function can be represented by L of X equals 40 plus 10 times X. What Kevin and Lena did is a good initiative to help others, but we also have to know that there are a lot of things on how we can help, especially in this time of the pandemic. Staying home or wearing face masks and face shields when leaving our houses are already a great help. By doing this, we can show the love for our country and our fellow countrymen, especially for our frontliners. This is just one of the many examples on how functions can be used to model real-life situations. And identifying an appropriate functional model will lead to better understanding of various phenomena. When dealing with functions, we also have to take note that a function can be illustrated as a machine, where there is an input which undergoes a process and produces an output. Suppose we have coffee granules as our input and it had been processed through the coffee maker. Thus, we will have a hot coffee as our output. Similarly, we do that when we evaluate functions. Let us go back to our previous situation. Suppose we want to know Kevin's savings after 10 days. We simply take 10 as the value of our X, or our input, and we will use that in our process or in place of X in our function. So we will have K of 10 equals 30 plus 15 times 10. In the order of operations, we take 15 times 10 first, and that is 150. Then we will add 30 and 150, which is equal to 180. Now, 180 is our output, and we say that after 10 days, Kevin will save 180 pesos. We just did evaluation of functions. Keep being motivated and let's proceed to our next task. Suppose we want to know the amount of money they saved in X number of days. What operation do you think are we to use? If your answer is addition, then you are right. We have to add the amount of money Kevin saved with Lena's savings. And that will be our first operation in functions. But how do we do that? I want you to go back to the time when you first added numbers. How were you taught to add numbers back then? I can still remember when we first added numbers. We counted popsicle sticks, apples, and oranges. And can you still remember that we don't combine things from different categories? When we add popsicle sticks, we use popsicle sticks only. We don't include apples nor oranges. We cannot add apples and oranges and ask how many apples we have. Adding functions is quite similar to that. We only add similar terms or those from the same categories. Let us try it in the next task. Going back to our situation, since the amount of money Kevin and Lena saved in X number of days are in functions, then we need to add functions. That is the first operation on functions that we will discuss. And since we are adding the amount of money the two saved, it will be denoted by K of X, which is Kevin's savings, and L of X, which is Lena's savings, or K plus L of X. And this is equal to the quantity 30 plus 15x plus the quantity 40 plus 10x. Like how we add apples and oranges, when adding functions, we only add similar terms or those of similar categories. Thus, in this case, we can combine 30 and 40, while 15x can only be added to 10x. By associative property of equality, we may have K of X plus L of X equals the quantity 30 plus 40 plus the quantity 15x plus 10x. Adding 30 and 40, we have 70. Also, 15x plus 10x is 25x. So we say that the amount of money saved by both Kevin and Lena in X number of days is given by K of X plus L of X equals 70 plus 25x. And we just have added functions. Let us have the second operation, which is subtraction. For the next operations, let us use the following functions. Suppose we will be subtracting f of x from g of x. We will have the notation g of x minus f of x or g minus f of x. In this case, it is equal to 3x minus the quantity 2x minus 1. We also have to be reminded that when we are subtracting functions, we add the negative of the subtrahend. Since 2x plus 1 is inside the parentheses, we have to take the negative of each term inside these parentheses. Taking the negative of 2x is negative 2x, while the negative of negative 1 is positive 1. Now we have g of x minus f of x equals 3x minus 2x plus 1. We may now combine similar terms. In this case, 3x and negative 2x. 3x minus 2x is 1x, or simply x. Thus, we say that g of x minus f of x is equal to x plus 1. We just have finished the second operation. Are you still motivated? Very well. Let us now have the third operation, which is multiplication. We are still using the same functions. Let us get the product of h of x and f of x. In notation, that will be h of x times f of x, or h times f of x. We use a dot to avoid confusion because we commonly use x as a variable. Since there are two terms in the second factor, we distribute 18x squared. We multiply it to the first term, 2x, which will yield 36x cubed. We also multiply 18x squared to negative 1. This will give us negative 18x squared. In just that, we were able to multiply functions. Thus, we say that the product of h of x and f of x is 36x cubed minus 18x squared. For our fourth operation, division, we will have h of x divided by g of x. This is denoted by h of x divided by g of x, or h divided by g of x. And this is equal to 18x squared divided by 3x. We divide 18 by 3. That gives us 6, and x squared by x, which is x. Thus, we say that h of x divided by g of x is 6x. Are you still with me? The fifth and last operation on functions is composition. In here, we take the value of a function to be an input in another function. Suppose we take the composite function denoted by f composed with g of x or f of g of x. In this case, we will be using g of x as our input or in place of x in f of x. Thus, for every x in f of x, we will use 3x instead. We will have f of g of x is equal to 2 times 3x minus 1. 2 times 3x is 6x. Thus, f of g of x is 6x minus 1. We are able to finish all the operations on functions. Great job! You really are math-motivated. Can we try this? Suppose the amount of face mask that Lena sells costs 5 pesos each for a purchase of less than 10 pieces and 4 pesos for 10 pieces and above. Again, we have two tasks. First is to represent the amount one has to pay in buying n number of face masks. Since there are two conditions, we know that we will have a piecewise function. Let's try filling the missing terms to complete the piecewise function. You have 15 seconds. Your time is over. The representation should be a of n equals 5n if n is less than 10, or 4n if n is greater than or equal to 10. Check your work if you got this right. Let us proceed to the second task. Try to determine the amount 20 face masks cost. Here we will evaluate the piecewise function. You are given 15 seconds. Time is up. Let's have it. We take n equals 20 as our input. We take 4n for our process since 20 is greater than 10. Thus, we will have a of 20 equals 4 times 20. And 4 times 20 is 80. 20 face masks cost 80 pesos, which is our output. Were you able to follow? You did pretty well. You are a certified math-motivated. For us to check your understanding of today's lesson, let us have an assessment first. For items 1 to 3, you will refer to the given situation. Which of the following represents the amount n number of face masks cost? A of n equals 45n. B. A of n equals 45 plus n. C. A of n equals 45 minus n. Or D. A of n equals 45 divided by n. The function that represents the amount n number of face masks cost is letter A. Let us try number 2. How much will 3 face masks cost? A. 85 pesos. B. 105 pesos. C. 135 pesos. Or letter D. 165 pesos. Answer is letter C. 135 pesos. For number 3, how many face masks cost 180 pesos? A. 2 face masks. B. 3 face masks. C. 4 face masks. Or letter D. 5 face masks. We have letter C. 4 face masks. Let's proceed to item 4 to 8. For these items, we will be referring to the given functions. F of x equals 8x, g of x equals 2x squared, and h of x equals x squared minus 2. Let us have number 4. What is the sum of g of x and f of x? The sum of the functions is 2x squared plus 8x, or 8x plus 2x squared. Let us go to item 5. What is the difference when f of x is subtracted from h of x? Their difference is x squared minus 2 minus 8x, or x squared minus 8x minus 2. In any order of the terms, as long as you have positive x squared, negative 2, and negative 8x. For item 6, get the product of f of x and g of x. The correct answer for number 6 is 16x cubed. Let us have number 7. What will be the answer when g of x is divided by f of x? Their quotient is x over 4. For our last item, solve for h of f of x. The answer in number 8 is 64x squared minus 2. Please count the number of correct items you got. For those who got 7 or 8, great job! You are truly ready for our next episode. For those who got scores below 7, that is still a good job. Your efforts are being counted here, not just your scores. I know that you can do better. So let's keep working and be motivated for us to grow our skills and knowledge. Well done! We were able to represent real-life situations using function, including piecewise function. Evaluate functions, perform addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and composition of functions, and solve problems involving functions. I would want to get your insights regarding the discussions we had. Please help me know how well you understand the lesson by writing your most significant learning in today's episode. You may post your works in your Facebook accounts and use the hashtag #MathtivatedE1. I enjoyed being with you, my Mathtivated students. I hope that you also did. Again, this is Teacher Carol reminding you that what others can do, you can too. So let's grow our efforts for us to grow our skills and knowledge. See you on our next episode.